Hello, welcome to Win Some Loosemore. My name is Dieter Loosemore and you join me for a mechanisms video where I try and explain some of the language that we use for how games work. I'm continuing on in the tile placement, tile laying series that I've been doing and want to go from one very classic game in dominoes to another of Tetris. The old, I know it as a Game Boy game, maybe it was on arcades or something before then. Sorry, I know it as a Game Boy game because I grew up mostly in the 90s. It's what I know. But it's this idea of these different shapes based formed out of different numbers of blocks into what is the word that I've learnt since being involved with board games is polyomino shape, a shape of multiple sides, and usually some form of selection or drafting to get these tiles again to build something. This seems to be one of the main things within tile placement, is putting them next to each other to build something. Now I've played a few of these games and there are some big games that use this a little bit and other ones that are all about it. I will use Patchwork as my example game of this just because it's almost the entirety of what the game is trying to fill up on this turn time track before you get to the end as much of your board as possible to score buttons in this case. And yes, there's a selection mechanism, but that's a different thing we'll talk about another time. The actual placement, the polyomino thing, usually comes down to, will the piece fit is the simple question, and in the where do I place this, and is it most helpful given the negative space that it creates. By negative space I mean if you've got a this shape and a this shape, do I put it here so that I'm building on, this is a terrible example, to continue building, or do I put it up here and actually have left some space here? I could have just got some pieces out, that would have been smarter, I didn't. So where do you place it to set up pieces that you have to then get later? Some games like Patchwork, like many others, come with ways of filling those single spaces that you tend to leave because there's no way of completely filling it perfectly unless you think very hard about it. Another game I've really enjoyed with this system, same designer actually, is New York Zoo. I did a review recently where it's just a race. You're trying to fill up your board completely before the other people, and so there are these attractions to get the funny shaped little ones to fill in all the gaps afterwards by breeding animals and shipping them off to other zoos for other people to enjoy, and you get more money. So you get, well, there's no money in the game, but you get a little bonus of one of these attractions. It might be a food stand that's just 1 square, or like a giant ride that's 6 squares big. And so this is just a really common, simple tile placement style game genre, these polyomino ones I mean. And again, harking back to the one I did on the domino style, because Tetris is so much in the common consciousness, not so much like morality, I don't mean that kind of thing, I mean within our culture, particularly in the West, or actually everywhere where video games exist, in the East and the West, in the whole world generally, where there's technology available to people, we're aware of Tetris, we're aware of these shapes, we're aware of the puzzle of trying to fit things together in a particular way. So it suits more the kind of the visual spatial puzzle element than other games which are just match things up to get a bonus or something like that, or try and construct this shape. It's here's your confinement, here's bizarre shapes that shouldn't work, fit them in. So there's a puzzle element to that as well, which appeals certainly to me, and so it seems to lots of other people, given the prevalence of polyomino games and elements within wider games as well, like Feast for Odin, which is this giant worker placement game, but one of the things you're doing is filling up your board with these little polyominoes. So they exist around. Very popular Isle of Cats is another one that just is a simple polyomino game, but they add twists and things to make it more interesting, and these scoring cards and whatnot. So it's a lot of places. But the purest, most distilled version for me is just the 2-player Patchwork just there. And then if I want something else, I'll pull out New York Zoo as well. But do you like polyomino games? I wasn't sold originally, but I'm growing to like them more and more. Do you like them? What are your favourite ones? Stick them down in the comments below. What do you think of Polyomino as a system? Does it work for you? Is it something that you are drawn to in games, or something that makes you go, ugh, not this again, I don't want this, I'm going to look for something else? They do tend to be a bit more abstract, less thematic, because how can you make Tetris shapes thematic? They've tried, but what do you think? Stick it in the comments. It'd be great to hear from you, and do subscribe to this channel if you don't already, and hit the bell icon so you stay updated when we put out new things. In the meantime, follow me on social media. To search Win Some Loosemore, you will find me, no problem. I hope to hear from you. Until next time, I've been Dieter for Win Some Loosemore. Thank you. Goodbye.